My first questions are for Anna. I'm interested in exploring the aspect of online abuse. I met virtually, of course, with the Internet Watch Foundation a couple of weeks ago, and they told me they had seen a large increase, both in terms of the reporting of online sexual abuse of content. Because obviously more people are online, but also they've seen a big increase in the amount of self-generated content that children are being manipulated into making. And I was wondering both if you as the NSPCC had seen this increase as well, and how you best thought we could get the message across both to children and to empower parents to have those conversations in order to keep children safe.
Absolutely. So we haven't seen the spike as yet, but we are very concerned about this happening, and we are in regular contact with colleagues both at the NCA and the NPCC to keep abreast of this situation, and we're sharing information in terms of what we are finding from our helplines and so on. In fact, next week we are publishing some research that looks at this kind of children who might be vulnerable to grooming and who use social media frequently, and what that means for the propensity to be able to share images or to share content with adults. I'm sorry, I think my screen has frozen, but are you still able to hear me?
We can still hear you.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm sorry I've frozen in a rather unfortunate pose, but
don't worry.
Yes. So it is something that we're concerned about. We've been working in partnership with O2, and we have resources on our website under the NetAware partnership, which offers advice to parents about the kind of conversations and how to make sure that they're talking to children about what they're doing online, and enabling that kind of conversation, how to do things like set up parental controls, as well as advice on individual apps. And so we would absolutely encourage people to look at that. In terms of what the Home Office could be doing around this, they have, as I said, made an impressive early start and really led the conversations between platforms, international partners, and also child protection charities. But we'd like to see them push some of the tech platforms a bit further to make sure that information that those platforms are currently reporting into the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children in the US are disclosed and shared regularly and on a timely basis with law enforcement and authorities here in the UK, so that we have a real-time assessment of the impact of this crisis, can identify any moderation issues which need attention and address them. And so it is really something that there are steps that parents can take, but really the onus needs to be on tech firms, but also the government, to help them to understand that they do have a duty here, and that there are things they can do as part of a response to coronavirus that makes sure that children are as safe as possible online.
Thank you. And just in terms of government and the government messaging, there's been quite a lot of government messaging, directed at parents to, make sure you know what your children are doing. It's not safe for them to be out, with other children at the moment. Do you think the messaging about staying safe online in the home has been strong enough?
We certainly know that the Home Office is aware of this, and that they are actively planning campaigns around this, which I understand are likely to come to fruition in the very, very near future. And we've been pleased to see those, and we would like to see more of that.
Great, thank you. And just a final question from me to the other witnesses. I think one of the few good things that's come out of the current crisis is the very strong community networks, volunteer networks that have been built up. And I just wonder, do you see any opportunity for using those kind of networks and that community, those community networks in the future for helping to identify and help victims of domestic abuse more broadly? And perhaps if we start with Lucy Hadley.
And I'm going to ask everybody for very, very short answers.
Very
if that's okay. Lucy.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we've long known and research has shown that communities can either be gate openers or gate closers for survivors of domestic abuse, and that women are often likely to tell their friends, family, someone they trust about the abuse they're experiencing. So it's a really, really important means of ensuring survivors can access support. At Women's Aid, we've been leading a community response called Ask Me for over 4 years now, and we have, I think, nearly 1,000 community ambassadors trained across the UK. They've received 12 hours of in-depth training on domestic abuse and violence against women and girls. They can provide a safe response, raise awareness within their communities, and tackle some of the barriers that victims face to coming forward. We want to see far more focus on interventions like that, and ensuring that we can build on the expertise we've got within the sector to train up communities in various different ways to be able to provide that good, safe response. It is about the schemes that you spoke about earlier with the code words, but it's also further than that, and ensuring that we've got people that really understand domestic abuse, providing safety.
Baljit Banga.
So just quickly, that deep community outreach was something that was always done by BME organisations. It is actually a very good trademark of BME women's organisations to be able to work deep in communities, reach out to women who have very little access or have no access to services, and ensure safe pathways to support. So it is a good way, but one of the things that I want to highlight there is that that kind of funding, which was community-based outreach funding, that disappeared a very long time ago. So a lot of that work has been affected by the lack of resources. And if community and volunteer networks are the way to go, or being considered now, the resourcing implications of that would also have to be considered.
Thank you. Ellie Butt.
Thanks. I would echo what my colleagues have said about the really important role of communities, and particularly neighbours. I think it's really important as part of these awareness campaigns that we talk about the importance of calling for help if you are worried about one of your neighbours or friends or colleagues or relations. That's really important. On the Refuge website, we have information about what to do if you're worried about somebody. I think the only sort of small concern I would echo is to be minded to how dangerous leaving a perpetrator of domestic abuse can be. We know that that's the time of highest risk for women. So it's absolutely important that specialist organisations are contacted to support women who are thinking of leaving, about how to do that safely and to make sure they've got that support. But absolutely neighbours and all these networks in terms of letting people know what help's out there and calling if they're worried someone's being harmed.